Mikee P back on the Money Players podcast. And you would think this is a harness show because I have Ray Cotolo with me, but no, this is a flat show for Woodbine. And Ray and I did a lot of Woodbine coverage in the past couple years. Usually it turns out pretty well. Ray's very good on the flat. He's very good at Woodbine. So Ray, welcome in for a little Sunday coverage with all these cancellations. Sunday, July the 5th. How was your fourth?
It was as fourth as could be. I'd give it a 4 out of 4, which I think is pretty good on the scale. It is equally confusing that we're doing Woodbine on a flat show because Woodbine Standardbred is racing tonight as well, to my understanding. So I just hope that I looked at the right program.
Yeah, hopefully you did, and hopefully people turning into this aren't looking for a standardbred coverage. We give you plenty of that in the next couple weeks, but right now they've had some cancellations at Woodbine. They had a little sewer issue, but they are going to go with 12 races here on Sunday, and it's a nice card, Ray. And we're going to look late pick 4. And it's 12 races, so races 9, 10, 11, and 12. A couple turf races, a couple synthetic races. They have, these pick 3s, pick 4s, pick 5s. The pools are pretty big, and I do think that so they've been trying some alternative with the higher minimums and things, but this is a typical wagers, Ray. What's your thoughts on those higher minimums and things? I know we're not doing them today, but it seems like those experiments are working well.
Well, and I think for a game that has been kind of stagnant for the last decade or so, with also just handle fluctuating sometimes towards the downwards direction, you have to create a new environment that offers, more lucrative payouts. And so like that's essentially your PR in a respect. And those higher minimums will help you make those pick 3, pick 4 sequences pay amounts that make your brain go, maybe this is worth my time, instead of seeing a 20-cent pick 3 pay $5.60. Like if you hit something like that, that doesn't pay for an hour of your time, but the higher minimums, just given where the betting landscape is at this point, it seems like a happy bridge to create good action and then also reward that action as well.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of those opportunities as the meet goes on, but this late pick 4 starts in race 9, 5:23. So you have a little time to jump into this, and we start on the grass, Ray. It's a main special, straight 3-year-olds going a mile. And of course, they're on the inner turf, still not back to the outer quite yet, but a very, very wide open way to kick off. I was looking at a first timer in the 7 Cowboy from Mark Cassie. These Tisda Laws have really taken very well to the grass. And of the ones that have raced, I really don't know that any of them have a ton of form in here. Who'd you like?
Well, I just saw that the one horse I really liked scratched, but before we started recording, you said the 12 scratched in. I figured I should probably see who scratched. And I loved the 10 inside of this spot. Just like that type of speed on this inner turf, especially with that wide draw, I thought would have been well suited. But with that horse out, I'm left with the 6 as a lone A in a really unimaginative spot, because it's tough to really see who's going to be the speed. Every time we've done these shows and we talk about the inner turf, I've always harked about, because that's a tighter track, the more forward you can be, the better off you are. It's really tough to close unless just the front totally craters. Seems like the 6 should be in a good spot to do that. Maybe the 7 is 2. I just have the 7 as a B, because there's nothing really inside of the workouts that tells me this horse is going to fire forward beyond just, Hernandez and Cassie. They tend to be quite potent around these spots, and it's a maiden special. So that this horse that went for a high price at the yearling sales, probably meant for a spot like this. Just the prices are going to suck on the 6 and 7. Beyond that, I was wondering about the 8 Mystic Path. Has every right to improve second start out, maybe with the 10 scratched and this one coming in off a bullet workout, picking up Savachi. I'd be inclined to add the 8 as a bit of a price. And then one horse that I kept looking at, wondering if I could make a case for, is the 4, whatever you want, making a big move up in class, but has broken terribly in 2 of his races. It's interesting to go from those optional 25s into the maiden special for over 100,000. So I wonder if that speaks to confidence or the connections trying to get a big check. I thought he raced okay on the inner turf last time. Didn't really break that well, but the inside draw might be able to put him in a spot where if he has horse to offer, he might be a live long shot, but that's probably going to be more for the verticals than for the pick 4. So definitely 6 is an A, 7 is a B. May look to add the 8, just given how little information there is to work off in this race.
Yeah, I would, of course, what's nice is, it's the first race of the pick 4, so you'll be able to see how some of these are bad. And, if Cowboy doesn't take any money early, well, then that's going to be indicative that maybe that the horse might need a race. But I would be heavy 7, just with the connections you mentioned. I mean, these two together are 27% over the last year and a half or so. So that's really hard to ignore. I understand the 6, but I would probably think that one might be a little bit of a B. I could see your 8, though. I think I would put the 8 on the A line there. You get Savachi. This barn second starts 24%, especially with maidens. Very good getting onto the grass. Also positive ROI numbers there. This horse took money first time out, too, and that's a good angle. I do think that one plays. For my long shot, I'm going to try the 12 Irish Mojo. You look, ran the Supercharger. That's a pretty nice repeating main special weight winner at Churchill. And these Kentucky races are very good. Also, a mile and 8 first time out is extremely difficult. This horse was really never involved in that race, but the pace was very, very quick. So now you mentioned offline, the blinkers are going on. The gelding is also in play here. This one was gelded on the 15th of June. So lots of changes, change of environment, show up here, stay on the grass, you get an outside post, and as a draw-in off the also eligible. So this horse is probably going to be 20-1 plus for sure, and could be a nice little addition in a very wide open race to this pick 4.
Well, it tells you that they're really trying just to get this guy racing if they're going to geld a Curlin like that.
Yeah. Race 10 is a listed stakes of restricted stakes here, going 6 furlongs on this synthetic. And this is one of those races, Ray, where you have these Ontario sire types and they get a little bit extra money for the pots. These horses show up every year. Olivia Rose won this race last year back in this spot, beat Little Teddy in this race again. Is it those two?
I thought it's half the field. This was the toughest race in the whole sequence. With Olivia Rose, she has a bit more speed to contend with. I don't know compared to last year because that was a shorter field in the Belade last year that it was just 5. There's 9 inside of this race. But beyond the 2, the 5 with Ryan Munger is probably going to try and fire out of there. The 8 with Esjuan Flores is also going to want to try and roll out. So I don't know that Olivia Rose is going to be that lone speed and how she's necessarily going to handle not being the lone speed. The inside draw certainly makes it a little better for her. But it was just really tough to try and figure out who's going to get the best shake inside of this race. And on top of that, whether that horse is not the morning line favorite, Little Teddy, because you look at how Little Teddy races, and she's always trying super hard, lots of ones on the page. But when it comes to some of these stakes, at least sprinting on the dirt, she's been second fiddle quite frequently. Was second to Olivia Rose last year in this race, and then following going 7 in the Algoma was second to Speedy Fritz, who doesn't really seem like she's coming into this race with the same type of spark that she went into that Algoma last year. And beyond that, as a sharp closer, Speedy Fritz seems somewhat encumbered by the 6 furlongs for this race, as opposed to, going the 6.5 or 7 where she's done her best running. So all in all, I land on 2 horses that I think have a good chance to offer a bit of a price and maybe land in the right spot of this race. Again, going with Pietra Moran with the 6 Sinclarity, making a big move out of those optional claimers into this spot, but looks to be one that could land towards the middle of the pack. Has done well closing off of quick fractions, and given the amount of speed inside of this race, she might be able to get first run and offer a little bit of something. It's going to come down to whether she can make that first run and if she can stave off a horse like Little Teddy, who was kind of lugging in and out in her most recent. So the favorite in this race could end up being a bit level, all depending on how the speed goes in this race. And otherwise, I try to trust what could be the best speed here. in the 8, minimum 40, picks up as Juan Flores since Fukumoto rides for Tiller next door on home for the arrest, the other one. The 8 just seems like she should be able to blast out of there, might be able to clear the other speeds. And if that's the case, she's done well winning in those optional claimers, has been on a path that seems like stakes level was eventually her trajectory. So even though she had that one defeat 2 starts ago going 5.5, I think this is probably a good spot for her. She's got a weight allowance, which should help her speed carry against some of these others too. And as for the other Tiller who might want to try and benefit from speed in this race, I think if this horse drew inside, she'd have a better chance. But trip-wise, it seems like she could just have too much traffic to navigate. So I think the 6 might be able to land in a comfy spot to strike, or the 8 can try and take them all the way around. I'm playing this to go against the 3 because, again, just sprinting on the dirt seems like that's been her Achilles heel so far.
She's so sharp, though. I mean, she's won 3 straights. I know a couple of those were on the grass. Very versatile type, though, and she does have 5 wins over the racetrack. So I do think that she plays well, and she's 7-5, probably going to be around that price whenever the gates open. I do think Olivia Rose, though, was an interesting entry here. I do think this is a spot she can get the front. She won this race last year. She had a prep that was kind of poor, but she did take money in there. I do think we'll be better in this spot. So I prefer her. I would use some 3, but I agree on your 8, a minimum 40. I mean, this one is 3 for 4 so far, and nice blowout win last time. And I like the trajectory. I do think that maybe some of these other ones could be vulnerable. It's a 4-year-old filly that's improving. You get an outside post, you're going to get a price. There's too many things to like for me, especially in a multi-leg ticket. When you have a 12-1 morning line here, that could be on the way up and on the improve. This is where I want to get her, because obviously her price is going to go away next time if she can find a way to beat these. So I would use some 2 and 8 heavy, and then probably, I'm going to have a little 3 on this ticket here, but it will certainly remove a lot of the equity. Well, let's go to race number 11. We're back to the grass, and it's optional claiming 1X types Ray. Mount a 16th, and I was heavy 3 here. Majaz, I mean, just watching that replay last time, she toyed with that field. It just didn't seem like everything else was running in place. She finally broke the maiden. Maybe the change of scenery, maybe the Lasix really turned her on. But if you look at this race, is there anybody that can beat her on paper? Nobody that I saw.
I mean, I think maybe the 2 just on the upside angle. She's lightly raced, coming from a nice barn. Won last year, going a mile and a 16th. That's when she broke her maiden, and then she was off for many months and had a terrible break on the return, got squeezed out of the race, still tried to get into it to finish 3rd. So I think you might get a bit of a price on the 2 because the 3 is going to take so much money, but you're really going to hope that, she doesn't have any types of issues at the break again, because you look down her page, she broke slowly on the debut. She was bumped in the start after that. So 3 starts, all of them have been issues right out of the gate. But some of that could also just be with experience. You get those out of the way with the races under your belt, you might be able to get through a bit smoother. And the inside draw, I mean, maybe puts her in less of a tough spot because the 3 can kind of get out of there smoothly. The 1 is kind of tricky, has shown speed out of the gate, but when going on the inner turf has always been very slow for whatever reason. So there's a good chance that the 2 might be able to just plop out of there, get into a rhythm, and then we can see what she has to offer. Because power-wise, it seems like she should be able to be somewhat involved with the 3, but in the upside angle on the 2, you have to apply it to the 3 as well. That win was really good last time, and she can probably do better there. I just thought what was interesting is you have 2 horses that were imported from England, and the 3 was coming out of just those EBF, maiden races, which sometimes those are really good over there, depending on the track. Other times they're 2-horse races for the most part. And the 6, if I'm correct, the 6 raced in a handicap during Glorious Goodwood and has been racing at some of the higher level handicaps all through England and whatnot at all the top tracks, and does not seem at all in the same scope as the 3. So I think the 6 just gives me a little bit of hesitancy because she has a lot more class than the 3 has, but the 3 has just shown so much more ability. But 7-2 on the morning line of the 6, it seems like you might be better off just trying to play against.
Yeah, and that one, I mean, they tried ambitious spots though, came over and raced pretty well, was bet first time out there on May 3rd. They tried the grade 3 stake. Maybe that just wasn't, a spot that she could handle. this is a better spot for her for sure. I do think she, some of these others are claiming types, really. They're numbers and 2, numbers and 3 types. We'll see. I mean, it certainly is a better spot for that one. But if the 3 takes a step forward, I do think that they all are in big trouble here. And but we'll see. I did like that she was able to get out of the gate too, first time out, especially coming from the 10 post. And this one has been forward in some of those races over at Newcastle and going distances, mile and a quarter. So I do think this one will run quite a long time and will be finishing up better than most of these. So really, I would not play much against that one. I would be single heavy A on the 3 in race number 11.
I mean, I could definitely see that and using the 2 as a backup for sure.
Race 12 to finish. Maiden 10 claimers, Ray. 14 horses signed up. Good luck here. How are we going to get paid?
I mean, the 3 horse, I can kind of see it just on figures. Not one that super excites me, especially at 3 to 1. Because when you're at a cheap claimer like this and you're dropping down to this level, I feel like you still got to show me something. And it's great that you can get 4th and 3rd at the optional 25s. That's awesome, but that doesn't always translate into a win when they go into this spot. But with this draw, with her running style, she could be in a good position to end up winning in this race. So I begrudgingly use her. The other horses that catch my eye, because I'm always trying to shop around in these cheap maidens, because I think the deeper you can go into the form, the better off you are, because most people just want to write off these horses entirely. The 1 has some intrigue, added Lasix last time, first start for the new connections, and didn't really break out of the gate that well either. But I'm curious going to the rail if however she just kind of bobbles out or whatever, she might actually be able to fire through like she did in that December 7th race, and maybe just with a bit more development, she might be able to better carry her speed, and especially just being at the rail. If you are going to fire out of there, that's a great position to be. Not 2 wide, 3 wide. You have a good chance to just go a straight line to the lead and see what you have to offer. And she's going to at least be the right price to try and take a shot with that. The 4 as a first-time starter is certainly interesting. I didn't realize the Desero was so potent with maiden claimers, 21% so far this year, and 21% with his first-time starters with a positive ROI. Good workouts. Pedigree doesn't really say much, but I like that. He's been able to go. She's been able to go 35 in a workout. Has some really easy ones then coming into this race, so she's not burned. There's probably question marks as to why you put her in a 10,000 instead of something else, but if she has speed to offer, but maybe not class, then hope for a price on a first-time starter like this inside of a spot like this. So I have 1, 3, 4 as A's, and then I loosely put the 7 as a B. This is kind of similar to your 12 in the first leg, except she never had any gelding to go through. They take the blinkers off inside of this spot. She broke slow on the debut, took a little bit of money at 10 to 1. Worked great first time out back on April the 10th, and since then has just been kind of steady. So I wonder if maybe she just didn't like the blinkers, and this is really just kind of a crapshoot spot looking for a price, because again, I don't want to just take class horses in a spot like this. The 3 at least has some figures to show, but like the 9's dropping down. I think the 9's a total pitch inside of this race. The 10 was racing in some higher levels and is not really much of anything. So I'm leaning more towards inside. I don't think much is going to come from the outside. But again, I could see the 3 winning this. I just hope for payoff's sake that she doesn't.
Yeah, and I had the same 3, the 1, the 3, the 4. I think that you mentioned the 1. That would be my main press here, I think, Baytown, because this one has shown speed in the past, and you mentioned just, switched barns then, and last time took money. I mean, this horse is taking money in 3 straight starts, so somebody thinks that this horse is fast, and this barn has possibilities, obviously. You get a new jockey here, you get the rail. There's just things to like for me also, and was able to pass horses late last time. I just think there's a lot to like, especially 12 to 1 morning line. I understand the 3. I think the first timer here for a barn that pops with these types is another one that you can definitely use. There's not much else in here. Maybe a horse like the 12 has possibilities. I mean, you mentioned droppers. I mean, this one looks like it needs a drop to me. I mean, if you're showing up and you're 50 to 1 and these optional 40 type maiden races and not doing anything, then you need to be in for 10. And if you look back to that May 3rd line, that line would be competitive in this race, I do think. So it's a better spot. You get blinkers, you get a lower tag, you get Contreras. There's just 12 to 1 morning line. Again, another price in a wide open race where we're trying to get down. And I like a few favorites and some of the others. So this would be a race I could maybe spread a little bit. And I would press up the 1. I may press up the 12 a little to finish out the pick for Woodbine on Sunday here.
Yeah, 12. The class angle is definitely there. She would have had to like have her air shut off or something in some of those races, because at least with the 3, she's staying on. But if you're dropping and you're, finishing up the track the way she has, even going longer, I don't know that you're going to be able to do much from a wide draw. She's already going to have so much traffic to go through because she can't really, she can break. I don't know. That looks like one that's like a fake 12 to 1 on the morning line. I feel like that one would probably take a lot more play, but
we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate everyone for jumping in on Sunday. A couple cancellations kind of, made things a little tricky for this week for Woodbine. They are racing tomorrow, also on Monday. Makeup card for Monday. So, Ray, you can get your Woodbine fix tomorrow also if you want.
And of course, we'll be doing early Oak Grove as well tomorrow. We're racing Monday through Wednesday. We'll be beating Woodbine to the punch with a 10:55 a.m. Central start time. We'll be the first thing going alongside Windsor, whatever's going over in England at that time. We'll be Thistle Down in those other tracks because we got I got to do the math quickly. 48 races this week, and wow. a lot of Kentucky Sire Stakes 2-year-olds. So that's going to be what I'm preoccupied with.
Well, appreciate you jumping in early this Sunday morning with me, Ray. We're going to get this out to the people. Jump in on Woodbine's Late Pick 4, and we'll see you next time.